Okay. And next, coming to our topic. Okay, we are discussing about the tissues of the animals. Okay, we already said there are four basic types of tissues that are present in the animals. That is epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and neural tissue. Okay, and we are discussing about epithelial tissues. Okay, okay, this is also called epithelium. The epithelial tissues we can also simply call it as epithelium or epithelia, because it is usually present as the covering of the different organs of our body, either externally or internally. Generally, it's one of its surface is free on the open surface of that organ or a tissue or ducts. Okay, it is present. That's why we are calling it as epithelium. Usually, the cells that are present in the epithelium are compactly arranged without intercellular space. Without intercellular space, they are packed very compactly. Okay, even if a interface or matrix, okay, it will be very little with no intercellular space or very little intercellular space called matrix. Okay, the intercellular space in case of animals, we call it as a matrix. Okay, and next, when you observe this epithelial tissues, the epithelial tissues are broadly divided into two types. That is a simple epithelium and a compound epithelium. Simple epithelium and a compound epithelium. Okay, we can understand simple means tubes. Okay, if the epithelium is made up of single layer of cells, single layer of cells, then we can call it as a simple epithelium. Generally, the simple epithelium, okay, lines the body cavities. Okay, it lines the ducts. Okay, it lines the tubes like capillaries, blood capillaries, like that. Okay, when you observe the compound epithelium, if two or more layers, if the epithelium, okay, the compound epithelium consists of two or more cell layers and has a protective function as it does in our skin. So the skin is a good example for compound epithelium. Skin which is covering throughout our length of our body is a compound epithelium. It is made up of five layers of cells. So that is so. If two or more layers of cells, okay, if two or more layers of cells are present and they are in and they are protective in function, we are calling it as a compound epithelium. It is called a compound epithelium. Okay, and next, when you observe this simple epithelium, okay, on the basis of structural modifications of the cells, simple epithelium is further divided into three types. That means based upon the shape, structure, and function of the cells that are present in the simple epithelium. Okay, the simple epithelium is again divided into three types. That is the first one, that is squamous epithelium, simple squamous epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, simple columnar epithelium. Okay, that means okay, here the simple epithelium, but based on the shape, structure, and function of these cells that are present in that simple epithelium. Again, the simple epithelium is of three types, that is simple epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, and a simple columnar epithelium. Okay, what is the difference we can see here? The squamous epithelium. Okay, the simple squamous epithelium is made up of single layer of flattened cells with irregular boundaries. Okay, the cells are flattened like a tiles. Okay, when you place the tiles on the floor, how they are placed? Okay, like a thin in a single layer. Okay. Okay, the squamous epithelium is made up of a simple single thin layer of flattened. That's why we are calling it as a squamous, flattened cells with irregular boundary. That means when you observe the lateral side surfaces, the surfaces are polygonal. They are different. Okay, they are having different faces. That's why they are irregular in shape. That's why we say it as irregular boundaries. Where this squamous epithelium is present, they are found in the walls of blood vessels. Okay, this is squamous epithelium is present lining the blood vessels. And next, air sacs of lungs, that is alveoli. Okay, the air sacs of the lungs, we call it as alveoli. This alveoli is lined by squamous epithelium. Okay, and are involved in functions like forming a diffusion boundary, because as these are very thin, so they form as a boundary for a diffusion of respiratory gases. There is exchange of gases in the lungs between the blood vessels and the alveoli. Okay, so remember the examples very clearly. So where the squamous epithelium is present, the squamous epithelium is present lining the blood vessels and also the lining of alveoli of lungs or air sacs of lungs. Okay. And next, the cuboidal epithelium, the simple cuboidal epithelium. The cuboidal epithelium is composed of single layer of cube-like cells. Okay, what is the shape of these cells? They are cuboidal, like cube. Okay, we'll use cubes now. Okay, for playing Ludo. Okay, Rubik's. Okay, Rubik's. Okay, the cube we'll find now. Okay, that cube. Okay, that cube like. Okay, such a cube shaped epithelium we are calling it as cuboidal epithelium. If it is single layered, we are calling it as simple cuboidal epithelium. And next, where this cuboidal epithelium is present, this is commonly found in the ducts of glands and the tubular parts of nephrons in kidneys. Okay, inside the kidney we'll find nephron now. When you observe the nephron is having a duct, okay, tubule. Okay, okay, and next Henle's loop. Okay, and distal convoluted tubule. Okay, these ducts possess this cuboidal epithelium, and its main function are secretion and absorption. Okay, so this is commonly found in the ducts of glands and the tubular parts of nephrons in kidneys, and its main function are secretion and absorption. So that's why it is involved in a reabsorption of water and a secretion of certain minerals, the excess minerals that are present in our body, to maintain or to maintain the nature of the body. Okay, pH of the body and all that, okay, can be maintained. So that's okay. This cuboidal epithelium that is lining the nephron is playing a very, very important role. Okay, we can see here the epithelium of proximal convoluted tubule of nephron in the kidney has a microvilli okay, this microvilli, that means some okay outgrowths like structures are developed. Okay, why? Because to increase the area of absorption and secretion. This microvilli are present in the proximal convoluted tubule of a nephron. Okay, cuboidal, there, okay, it is a cuboidal epithelium, but the cuboidal epithelium towards the duct, okay, it is having a microvilli on this cuboidal cells. Okay, that's why they also call it as a brush border. Brush, like a brush, the bristles, how they are protruding out. No, in the same manner, we can observe this microvilli. Okay, they are meant to increase the area of absorption. Okay, this is very, very important. A lot of times they are asked in the NEET examination. Okay, so having a, okay, this brush border. Okay, this the proximal convoluted tubule, which is lined by cuboidal epithelium. Okay, they are having microvilli. That's why we can also say it as a brush border. Okay, this is all meant to increase the area of absorption. Okay, that is. Next, columnar epithelium. The columnar epithelium is composed of single layer of tall and slender cells. Okay, like a pillar. Okay, these are like a pillar. Okay, tall columnar. Okay, and slender cells. Their nuclei are located at the base. And free surface may have microvilli. Okay, the free surface may have microvilli. Okay, because they are usually present, they are found in the lining of stomach and intestine, and help in secretion and absorption. Okay, the digestive enzymes are secreted, and next, okay, after digestion, the digested food is absorbed. So to increase the area of absorption and secretion, okay, the columnar cells that are present in the stomach and the intestine are consisting of this microvilli. Sorry. Okay, that is the columnar epithelium is composed of single layer of tall and slender cells. Their nuclei are located at the base. Okay, and the columnar cells that are usually present in the stomach and intestine, on their free surface, they usually consist of microvilli, because to increase the okay area of secretion and absorption. And next, some parts of the body, okay, this cuboidal and columnar cells, on their free surface they may possess cilia. Okay, such a epithelium we call it as a ciliated epithelium, ciliated cuboidal epithelium or ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, that is so if the columnar or cuboidal cells bear cilia on their free surface, that means instead of microvilli, we can observe cilia, short hair-like structures. Okay, so if the columnar, okay, on their okay columnar or cuboidal cells bear cilia on their free surface, they are called ciliated epithelium. Their function is to move particles or mucus in a specific direction over the epithelium. So that means any cells that are secreted, they can't move by themselves now. So this cilia helps in pushing these materials in one direction. Okay, their function is to move particles or mucus in a specific direction over the epithelium. They are mainly present in the inner surface of hollow organs like bronchioles and fallopian tubes. Okay, they are mainly present in the inner surface of hollow organs like bronchioles and fallopian tubes. Okay, they are mainly present in the inner surface of hollow organs like bronchioles. Okay, we can see now the mucus. Okay, we can observe the mucus. The mucus is continuously secreted in the okay trachea, bronchi, and next in the nasal chamber. Okay, in the nasal chamber. Okay, and in the trachea, in the bronchi and bronchioles, we'll find the mucus is secreted, because it is very important. This mucus is playing a very important role in the humidification of air. That means cooling down the air that is entered into our respiratory system. If the hot air directly enters into the lungs, okay, because of that high temperature, they dehydrate the lungs. As a result, okay, the lungs may become dry and may leads to the death of that person. So if it is continued for a longer period of time, but that is not happening. Why? Because the air that is entered into our body is purified. That means it is cooled down. That means okay, the mucus that is lining this ducts will act as a cooler. It cools down the air that is passed on, and this process we are calling it as humidification. As a result, the cool air only reaches the lungs. We can observe very clearly the air that is breathed out is hot. Why? Because while it is passing out, it will take our body temperature and it is sent outside. The heat generated due to different biological activities, okay, will be because more amount of blood is supplied now. So from the blood, that temperature is captured, and that temperature will be sent outside through the nostrils. That's why the air, the breathe that we breathe out will be hot. Okay, so okay, this cilia will helps in movement of particles or mucus in a specific direction over the epithelium. That means in specific. They are mainly present in the inner surface of hollow organs like bronchioles and fallopian tubes. Fallopian tubes means these are the parts of female reproductive organs. In the fallopian tubes, okay, the ovum which is released into the body cavity, they are captured by the finger-like structures called fimbriae. And this fimbriae will push into the fallopian tube. After entering into the fallopian tube, how it will move into the inner surface of the fallopian tube means the cilia that are lining the fallopian tube. The cilia that are lining the inner surface of the tube will help in pushing the ovum to the right place where fertilization occurs. So that means the cilia that are lining the epithelium on the free surface, okay, they help in the movement of certain particles or certain substances like mucus and ovum and other particles in different parts of the body. For example, in bronchioles, it helps in movement of mucus. In fallopian tubes, it helps in the movement of ovum, the ciliated epithelium. Okay, you can see here very clearly. Okay, this is the squamous epithelium, flattened cells with okay, we can see the surface is irregular. On the up from the upper surface, we can see the cells are of different shapes. That's it, they are arranged irregularly with different faces. And next, but when you observe from the lateral sides, they are very thin, flattened. That's why we are calling it as a squamous epithelium. And next, here we can see the cilia. Okay, the epithelium is the cells that are present in the epithelium are in the shape of cube. That's why we are calling it as a cuboidal epithelium. And here we can see the cells are okay, long and slender like a pillar. That's why this is called columnar epithelium. We can see here, okay, the picture. On the free surface of this epithelium, we can observe the cilia. Okay, this is columnar epithelium because they are long and slender like a pillar. And next, free surface of the epithelium, columnar epithelium, we can observe the presence of short hair-like structures, which we call it as cilia. This is ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, usually observed in the bronchioles. Okay, to push the mucus. Okay, that is. And next, compound epithelium. Okay, compound epithelium means many layers. Okay, many layers. So two or more layers of epithelial cells are arranged. Then we are calling it as a compound epithelium. Okay, if it is made up of squamous cells, we call it as a that is a compound squamous epithelium. If it is made up of cuboidal epithelium, we call it as a compound cuboidal epithelium. If it is made up of columnar cells, we call it as a compound columnar epithelium. So depending upon the type of the cells, we call it as with the different names. Okay, and next, okay, some more epithelium, that is a glandular epithelium. That means the epithelial cells are modified okay, to perform some specialized functions so that they can secrete certain secretions. Okay, they secrete certain secretions. It may be okay different substances like okay, we can observe the sweat. Okay, sweat is secreted, and next sebum is secreted, enzymes are secreted, hormones are secreted. Okay, these are all gland cells. Okay, that is so some of the columnar or cuboidal cells get specialized for secretion and are called glandular epithelium. So those epithelial cells which are specialized to secrete certain secretions, those epithelium we are calling it as a glandular epithelium. Usually the columnar or cuboidal cells get modified. Usually the squamous cells are present as the outer covering as a protective layers. Usually they are not involved in secretion of any substances. Okay, the cells that are present in the epithelium of a cuboidal or columnar cells usually get modified to perform some special functions like secretions to form this glandular epithelium. Okay, there are mainly two types. That means this glandular epithelium is of two types. That is unicellular consisting of isolated glandular cells called goblet cells of the alimentary canal, and multicellular consisting of cluster of cells called gland. Okay, that is called as a gland, like salivary gland. So a group of secretory cells, okay, epithelial cells of which are involved in secretion, they are grouped to form a structure called a gland. So glandular epithelium. Okay, some will remain as a okay, single cells, and they secrete their secretions. They are called unicellular glandular cells, commonly called as goblet cells. Okay, these goblet cells are present commonly in alimentary canal, which are involved in the secretion of different substances like enzymes, hormones, etc. Okay, some hormones are also secreted in the intestine. Okay, some enzymes are secreted which are involved in the digestion of food. Okay, so that is so this unicellular cells, okay, unicellular secretory cells we call it as a goblet cells. Okay, the best example is the goblet cells of alimentary canal. And some cells, some secretory cells grouped or clustered to form a structure called gland. For example, salivary gland. And next, these glands are again divided into two types: exocrine glands and endocrine glands, based upon how they pour their secretions. Okay, depending upon depending upon the basis of mode of pouring their secretions, the glands are again divided into two types: exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Okay, exocrine glands. Exocrine glands are the glands which will secrete their secretions into specific regions through the ducts. That means they possess ducts. Okay, from the gland to the region where they secrete, okay, they are connected through the ducts, and through these ducts the secretions will be secreted into certain regions. For example, salivary glands. Okay, the glands which will secrete mucus, saliva, earwax, oil, milk, digestive enzymes, and other cell products. Okay, these are all glands which possess ducts, and they pour their secretions into specific regions. For example, if you take salivary glands are present at different positions, that is below the ear, below the tongue, okay, and on the sides near the lower jaw, but they secrete their secretions into the oral cavity. They secrete their secretions into the oral cavity. Next, mucus. Mucus also secreted to its surface by the mucus glands. Earwax. Okay, the earwax. It is an antibacterial substance which protect your ear from bacterial infections. It will trap the dust particles. That the earwax is secreted by the glands, wax glands. Okay, they also secrete their secretions into the ear, external ear, middle ear. And next, oils, the skin. Okay, a fatty substance called sebum is secreted onto the skin to keep your skin moist and to protect your body from bacterial infections. And next, milk. The milk that is secreted in the mammary glands will be released only at the tip of the teats. Okay, to feed the baby. Okay, and next, the digestive enzymes. They are secreted into the stomach, into the intestine, small intestine. Okay, and the pancreas, they secrete their secretions into the small intestine, that is duodenum. So, like this. Okay, that is, if they are secreting their secretions into some specific regions through the ducts they are having, okay, such glands we are calling it as exocrine glands. Okay, that is, we can see here, these products are released through ducts or tubes. Okay, but what are endocrine glands? In contrast, endocrine glands do not have ducts. Okay, their products called hormones are secreted directly into the fluid bathing the gland. Okay, that means when you observe the endocrine glands do not have any ducts. They secrete their secretions in their vicinity, the fluid filled. Okay, whatever the fluid that is filling that gland, into that fluid directly the secretions are secreted, and they are okay, and it is transported by the blood to different parts of our body. Okay, but they act on a specific organs. And these secretions which were secreted by the endocrine gland, we commonly call it as a hormone. Okay, as these glands do not have ducts, they are also called as ductless glands, because they directly put their into the fluid in which this gland is bathed, that is nothing but blood. Okay, that is okay, that is about the different types of endocrine glands. Okay, and exocrine gland, the glands, okay, the types of glands. Anybody is having any doubt? Anybody is having any doubt today? What okay, up to now, whatever we discussed?